In my previous video, I mentioned that there are some episodes of Buffy that you should properly skip. This is not to insinuate that individuals embarking on the Buffy experience for the first time should skip any. If anything, if you are watching the show for the first time, you should definitely give every episode a chance. But to those of us that have watched the series hundreds if not thousands of times, there are a few episodes that haven't aged all that well, and we do occasionally skip the odd one. Teacher's Pet is one of those episodes for me. So if you've just started your journey through Sunnydale, be warned that there will be spoilers ahead, and with that said, let's break down the episode and discuss why I generally give it a miss on my rewatches. Teacher's Pet marks the debut of a Xander-centric episode, and also his journey into becoming a demon magnet.
Grr, arg.
We're immediately thrust into one of Xander's daydreams, where he envisions himself as the ultimate hero, impressing Buffy and showing off by playing the guitar. Which, as someone who actually plays guitar myself, this moment grates me, as his fake playing is done really badly. I let it go as I put that down to Xander not actually knowing how to play, and it just being part of his daydream. We're then abruptly transported to a science class in the form of Xander's drool, where insects become an incessant and painfully obvious motive throughout the episode. On a positive note, we witness an adult actually having faith in Buffy as a person, recognising her potential beyond her Slayer duties. Unfortunately, this faith only serves as a harbinger of doom, as the poor soul meets his demise a mere 20 seconds after concluding his conversation with her. While this opener isn't terrible, everything that follows is an unrelenting descent into disappointment. Xander arrives at the Bronze and awkwardly starts ogling the band. The Clash douchebags are engaging in absolute bollocks, boasting about their supposed conquest and effectively questioning Xander's own masculinity.
Xander, how many times you scored?
Well,
It's just a question.
are we talking today or the whole week?
Angel enters the Bronze, which is randomly the first time Willow and Xander have ever laid eyes on him. I don't know how many rewatches I've had, but this is the first time I've noticed that. Buffy, in an ever so perceptive manner, sums up the majority of Angel's encounters for the entirety of the first season.
I won't be long.
No, you'll just give me a cryptic warning about some exciting new catastrophe and then disappear into the night.
He gives her his jacket, warns her about a fork-handed guy, and leaves. That's pretty much the extent of his contribution to this episode. At school the next day, Xander informs the girls that Dr. Gregory is missing as the new substitute teacher walks up. There's this weird jungle music playing as she struts in Xander's direction, completely shattering any semblance of immersion. In all seriousness, what's the purpose of this? Is it supposed to be sexy, enticing, seductive? I don't know, but whatever it was they were going for just makes me cringe, and not in a good way. She asks Xander for directions, he has a complete meltdown, and Mr. Douchebag, Lane, swoops in and shows her to class.
It's funny how the earth never opens up and swallows you when you want it to.
As Buffy enters the classroom, she stumbles upon Dr. Gregory's glasses abandoned on the floor. Seriously though, has no one else been in that classroom? Did nobody notice those glasses on the floor when they were on their way in? Is Buffy the only observant student in the entire school? The substitute teacher then introduces herself, launching into a lesson about praying mantises. And here is something that bugs me. Pun intended. Why is she teaching them about her own species? In what possible way could she think this is a good idea? Isn't her human guise a way of concealing her true nature? I understand that this whole scene is meant to provide the audience with insight into the praying mantis's nature and to showcase Miss French's captivating effect on young boys, but it simply does not make any sense to me. It feels like a contrived plot device that sacrifices logic for the sake of shallow intrigue. During lunch, Cordelia discovers the headless body of Dr. Gregory in the kitchen. The gang immediately think it's the fork-handed guy that Angel had warned Buffy about. Then Buffy breaks a promise to Giles and that night goes on the hunt. After a little slap around from Buffy, Fork Guy encounters Miss French, and a mere look from her sends him running. But why? This vampire could quite literally shred her into protein strips, yet he runs away in terror. What kind of insane troll logic is that? Giles and Buffy decide to keep Miss French under surveillance. As Buffy heads off to carry out this task, she unexpectedly runs into Mr. Flutie, who insists on her receiving counselling after witnessing the gruesome sight of poor headless Dr. Gregory. And I've got to ask, why is Cordelia having a chat with a crisis counsellor with the door wide open? Is this normal practice in the States? I'm genuinely asking here because I really don't know. I've repeatedly overlooked it due to the comedic effect Cordelia's conversation brings to the scene, But come on. It's just difficult to fathom why a private and sensitive conversation would be conducted in such an exposed way. Bloody hell. In a truly cringeworthy moment, Miss French shamelessly offers Xander a sexually suggestive answer to a pop quiz, and swiftly turns her neck a full 180 to catch Buffy spying through the door. Isn't it lucky there wasn't a class full of students to witness this bizarre spectacle? Jesus Christ. Buffy notices Blaine's absence from school following his one-on-one with Miss French the evening before, and deducts that Miss French is probably a bug because... reasons? Buffy's deduction remains a murky and unexplained mess, and I still have no idea how she came to this conclusion. In a world full of demons, why would she go with bugs? Words are failing me now. Anyway, we're now getting to the part of the episode where the themes are starting to really boil my piss. I'm not going to lie, so let's get into it. Miss French shamelessly takes advantage of her position of authority and extends a rather seductive invitation to Xander. It's just infuriating that this issue is never truly addressed throughout the entire episode. The narrative is so consumed with exploring Xander's struggles with masculinity and virginity and his desire for acceptance from his peers that it completely overlooks the fact that his teacher is actively making inappropriate advances towards him. It's a clear abuse of power, and yet it goes unacknowledged. For a show as insightful as this one, you'd think that addressing such a crucial matter would be a priority. But no. Why would the creators do this? Also, just a little annoyance, who just puts the word food on their lunchbox? Even if it is just a tub of bugs, disguised as a pack-up box? Who the hell does this? Giles is about to provide us with potentially vital information about Miss French, only to be interrupted by Willow with news about Blaine being reported missing.
Claimed there was some beast.
Buffy 911. Blaine's mom called the school. He never came home last night.
And I don't normally say this, but honestly, who the hell cares? What Giles was about to impart was blatantly more important to the plot than just the fact that Blaine was missing, because we'd already established that earlier when Buffy had said, he's not at school. This episode is so difficult to get through. Right, let's just carry on. Let's not get angry. Buffy finally does some homework and deducts that Miss French must be some sort of praying mantis. Oddly enough, it's only Willow that momentarily panics about Xander spending time with Miss French. You'd think that encountering a teacher whose previous encounter with a student resulted in him going missing would create some sort of urgency, especially as one of their teachers lost his head earlier in the episode. Although Buffy does catch up with Xander and attempts to warn him about Miss French being a giant insect, Xander, being the ass he is, accuses Buffy of jealousy.
No, it doesn't sound weird at all. I completely understand. I've met someone and you're jealous.
What?
You'd think, with all that he's witnessed over the past 3 episodes, that he might have actually given her the benefit of the doubt. What's even more shocking is that Buffy actually takes this crap from him and is left utterly speechless. It's sincerely frustrating witnessing her act completely out of character and allowing herself to be belittled by Xander's baseless accusations. Xander arrives at Miss French's house and she's practically entered Cougar Town, shown by the provocative dress that she's wearing. To make matters worse, she immediately starts plying Xander with alcohol, setting the stage for a very disturbing scenario. As Blaine's faint screams for help echo in the background, Miss French shamelessly tries to seduce Xander, taking advantage of his vulnerable state. It's so infuriating to witness this appalling situation where an adult is blatantly playing upon an underage boy and it be shown as normalcy. It's as if the creators are turning a blind eye to the serious implications of the situation. It's deeply disheartening to witness such important themes being disregarded in favour of a shallow and misguided narrative. They could have done something truly amazing here and shone a light on the dynamics of abuse and consent, but instead they were shamefully overlooked. It turns out Xander's drink was drugged, again something that they could have fully focused on, and he passes out. Miss French then drags him to the basement. He regains consciousness and finds himself trapped in a cage. At this moment we finally get to see Miss French in her true form, which is actually kind of cool. Blaine, trapped in the adjoining cage, grabs Xander and goes into detail about what the she-mantis has planned for them both.
What does she do?
She takes you out of the cage and she ties you up and she starts moving and throbbing. And these eggs come shooting out of her. And then what? And then what? She mates with you.
Giles speaks to an old acquaintance and is informed that Miss French is a she-mantis, a being similar to a siren or succubus, but a giant praying mantis. Willow calls Xander's home and discovers he has gone to Miss French's house for the evening. On a plus note for the episode, yes, there are a couple, The phone call from Willow to Mrs. Harris is a small insight into Xander's home life. No self-respecting and responsible parent would allow their teenager to go and hang out at a teacher's house for the evening without it raising some serious red flags. It seems like a throwaway moment, but it really does show how little his family actually cares for his safety. Buffy comes up with a plan that involves Willow finding Miss French's address and Giles retrieving a recording of Bat's sonar. According to public records, Miss French is 90 years old. Did this not come up when she got her position at the school? Was there not any paperwork to fill in, no background checks done? Again, logic seems to be taking a massive hit in this episode. The gang arrive at the real Miss French's home, played by none other than Ron Howard's mother, Jean Spiegel Howard.
Goodness, that's me. I taught for over 30 years.
Buffy concludes that she's going to use the fort guy to trap the she-mantis, and she laughably ties his hands up with rope, and they follow him down the street. Of course he breaks free. His clawed hand could easily slice through the rope, but Buffy being Buffy... yeah, she stakes him. Meanwhile, Xander attempts to escape from the bug lady and ends up being tied up. He screams for help as Buffy dramatically smashes through the basement window.
Hey, over here, hello, in the cage.
Let him go!
Buffy attacks the mantis with bug spray, which is actually quite ingenious. She orders Giles to play the sonar recording, and in a wonderfully comedic moment, he plays the wrong side of the tape.
Extremely important to file, not simply alphabetically.
Giles!
It's the wrong side.
Due to budget restrictions, we get the final battle in a bizarre shadow sequence. I actually don't mind this, although I do believe it could have been shot better. It's not too bad. I understand they have budget constraints. It is the first series after all. After the she-mantis has been hacked up into little bits, Willow congratulates the boys on their virginity, something both of them seem extremely embarrassed by, and Blaine, being the douche monkey that he is, threatens them all with a lawsuit if anyone finds out.
My dad's a lawyer. Anybody repeats this to anybody, they're going to find themselves facing a lawsuit.
What a twat. Xander picks up the machete and starts to hack away at the mantis eggs. Metal music blares out as he strikes, which completely takes you right over the moment as the episode reverts to Cringe City once more. It's not good, you guys. During the final scene, yes, I'm ignoring the whole 2 minutes with Angel about him telling Buffy she looks better in his coat than he does. Buffy picks up Dr. Gregory's glasses from his desk and places them in his jacket. We then pan to the back of the cupboard and it's revealed that there are some fertilised mantis eggs in there about to hatch. This ending left me with so many unanswered questions. Why were his glasses still on the desk? Why is his jacket still on the back of the door? Won't his family or somebody else have been to collect his belongings? Were the eggs his children? What's going to happen when those eggs hatch? None of these questions were ever answered, which to be honest infuriates me more than a big chunk of the entire episode. Okay, final thoughts. Being a fan of this show can be hard sometimes, guys. You all know it, I know it. There's always that one person ready to challenge your opinions, to claim that you're wrong and believe that they are completely right. But let me tell you something, it's perfectly okay to have a different perspective on the show, to cherish episodes that others may not. But that doesn't mean that your opinion is right or that theirs is wrong. It just means that this show is so phenomenal that each episode resonates different things to different people. If you enjoy this episode, fantastic. If you don't, that's also fantastic. We all love and dislike many different things. As you can tell, I do not enjoy this episode. It missed the mark on so many levels for me that I find it so difficult to watch. Even just this review, I found myself getting worked up, just going from scene to scene, breaking it down. However, I must give credit where it's due. Giles shines with his brilliant comedic moments throughout this entire episode, and I genuinely do appreciate that. Plus, I have no qualms about the cost-effective she-mantis. In fact, I revel in the delightfully cheesy monster designs. I have a love for craptastic movies and animatronics and weird bizarre costumes. I mean, I'm a Doctor Who fan also, so you know that pretty much says it all, especially because I also love the classic Doctor Who as well as New Who. And as the mantis costume is a reused prop from Babylon 5, it just makes it all the more special to see it in another show. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I start every year with a rewatch. It's my go-to when I'm ill or if I'm feeling down. It is hands down my favourite TV show of all time. But because you love something, it doesn't mean it's perfect. And unfortunately, Teacher's Pet for me is one of its imperfections. And on that note, I'm going to end this here. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry I got ranty. If you have any thoughts or feelings about this episode, as always, leave a comment down below. Be kind to one another, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love.